All
For
right. All right. I'm here with Alicia. Alicia?
Alicia.
Yeah, and I'm Moshe. We're talking about what's going on with Jews on the planet, and the we were brought together because Alicia did watch um, uh, Israel's Unfinished Covenant. And by
Mhm.
the way, I wish we had recorded the last whatever 15 minutes that we did. It was
Yes.
like gold. It was gold. But we were just talking, man. You're saying that you have fear around discussing this.
Yeah. I feel like it's been a really hard time to be a Jewish person on the planet.
Yeah.
There's a lot of complexity right now, and I feel like most Jews, since the war that started a few years ago in the Middle East, have been living in quite a trauma and fear response,
Yeah.
understandably so. With our history and the history of the Jews, persecution and attempted eradication. I'm personally, my grandparents are survivors of Auschwitz, and my other side of the family had to flee for their lives from Eastern Europe. And so this is very recent trauma. And so there's a lot
Yeah.
of complexity in moving forward here. And that's what
And
prompted me to
it's
reach out.
amazing because this has gone on from generation to generation, the whole Amalek thing and the manifestation of the hate against Jews from generation to generation. So it is a definitely a coded trauma in the genetic code. And October 7th definitely triggered that in Jewish people. Like I felt it in myself. You were saying how you felt it in yourself. My aunt, my amazing aunt, she's in her 80s.
Mhm.
She's been like very, very open-minded, learning all kinds of stuff from all aspects of the world, amazing mind, and she just feels like she's been going into like total panic attacks since that
Yeah.
day. So a lot of this is like coded in our genetics. And what I find so interesting is that, and this is part of the complexity that you mentioned, is that there's two things that I want to mention we could discuss. One is that Jews are hypersensitive because of this trauma to anything that slightly resembles anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
So I think that we have a hypersensitive knee-jerk reaction and label everything anti-Semitism, which has caused many people, good people, to then not take anti-Semitism seriously because things that aren't really anti-Semitic, they're just kind of like criticism of Israel. Like who cares if people criticize Israel or criticize Jews? That's not anti-Semitism. Because anti-Semitism, I mean, it might be a teeny weeny bit, but who cares? Like people should be allowed to discuss and to criticize other people's.
Hmm.
But this hypersensitivity has now created a crying wolf effect for the other stuff, which is really, really going on the planet.
Yeah.
And that is also for me like the devil's work, is
Hmm.
to perhaps even pull the strings of those in certain Jewish organizations to be ridiculous with labeling and ostracizing and deplatforming people that are saying anything against Israel.
Yeah. There's a lot of nuance and complexity here because I also do know that there has been some anti-Semitism throughout this time. And I have experienced and I've witnessed it in people in my Jewish community. And I've heard some very specific stories. So there is a little bit of both, which makes it really, I think, it's a complex subject.
Yeah, it's a very complex subject. What one thing that I heard many stories about during the protests, the Black Lives Matter protests, there
Mhm.
was quite a few people, quite a few Jews that their lives were threatened, and like basically like with all the destruction of property that was going on throughout the cities in America, like when there were Jews, like noticeable Jews, like religious Jews, they're like you're next Jew. And the Black Lives Matter platform, if you look at their creed, it's like they believe in rights for blacks, but then they had in their charter that Israel is an apartheid state and they're committing genocide.
Mhm.
So it's a very weird mishmashy like intersectionality there, which is kind of a very bizarre thing.
Mhm.
And but Jews were terrified to say anything at that moment, to make any claim of like anti-Semitism, because of like the hypersensitivity that was going on with the Black Lives Matter movement. So just
Yeah.
a lot of very strange complexities going on there too.
Yeah. So I'm curious, I'm interested in what do you feel like the solution is moving forward, especially specifically for the Jewish peoples to start out with, to start off with.
Yeah,
What's the solution here? What's the highest
yeah.
path?
So as you know, like you're a naturopathic doctor, you work with the quantum field healing, you work with naturopathic medicine, acupuncture. I'm also a naturopathic doctor. It's kind of cool that we're having this chat
Yeah.
because we bring with it our awarenesses and our experience around healing. So first of all, first you recognize the problem that's living inside of you. So the best thing that we could do is where we have power. We don't have power over the whole world and how people view us, but we do have power over what we carry. And fear is the opposite of love.
Hmm.
Love is and is okay unto itself. It lacks nothing. It is the true nature. It is the basis of every person on the planet's consciousness. So when you detect fear, then you have to say, okay, do I need to carry this fear? What's it serving? So this is where it has to start. The individual. It's like, oh my God, I'm afraid for my very existence. Like this is the what I call the primary problem, right? In the Unfinished Covenant, my series Israel's Unfinished Covenant. So, oh my gosh, I just felt fear about that person's going to want to kill me, or they're going to come and kill my family or something. So when we experience that fear, the first thing to do is that there's a choice to be made there. Like what, first of all, we can ask ourselves, what is the fear serving? Does it serve anything towards the good? Does it actually bring protection? Or does it keep manifesting against us the very thing that we fear? So I think it's good to get clear on that. Because
Hmm.
what we think it's doing, it's protecting us, we're being hyper vigilant about anything that's going to get us, that doesn't serve at all.
Yeah.
So the next piece would be, okay, so what is our choice there? The choice would be I'll give it up in God's hands. I might get killed because I'm a Jew. I might. I
Hmm.
don't have that control. Some maniac might. But when I release the fear, I trust that it doesn't have to happen.
Mm.
Abraham's sacrifice of Isaac is one of the most important lessons around this topic of acceptance. Abraham has this miracle child with his love, his wife, Sarah, because he had Ishmael too. And
Yeah.
Ishmael is his beloved child too, but Isaac was special to just like Joseph is special and Jacob. I don't this is an interesting piece in Jewish karma too about
Yeah.
having special
Goes way,
children,
way back.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. But that was true for Abraham. He loved Isaac beyond. And he what does a parent face when they love their children so much? The possibility of losing them.
Hmm.
So the possibility of Abraham losing Isaac was the very thing that God slash devil challenged Abraham with. It's like, okay, this is what you fear, sacrifice him. And he obeyed God's will. And in the very act of doing it, the angel knocked the knife out of his hand and said, okay, you don't have to do it. You passed the test. It's like
Mm.
in the movie Gawain, like he passes the test by saying, okay, I'm ready. Here's my neck. So in sacrifice, in letting go, in accepting the worst, in
Yeah.
putting it in God's hands, we release the need for it to happen.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. That I understand that surrender. It's the name of the game of life right now, and
yeah,
it is a big ask as well. When you initially started giving your response, what came to mind was my family in their town in Hungary, where my grandfather didn't want to believe, and the Jews didn't want to believe what was happening and what the stories were that the Jews were being rounded up in trains and in cattle cars, right? And they ignored
yeah.
it. And eventually, him and his family were taken to Auschwitz. And so that was the initial, I mean, that was my trauma response, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a big ask to be able to work through that level of trauma where it was, I mean, these are
It's a
atrocities that occurred.
it's a huge ask. It's asking everything of us. Everything. Like
Yeah.
basically your very existence. It's asking you to put
Yeah.
that on the line and put it up in God's
And
hand.
that's the ultimate faith in God.
It's the ultimate faith in God, and it's what in the New Testament Christ said. that those who are willing to lay down their lives will pick them back up again, and those that hold on to them will lose them. Of
Hmm.
course, I'm paraphrasing, it's not the exact quote.
Yeah.
But when we hold on to our life out of fear, the very fear of clinging on brings to us what we fear,
Yeah.
because we see that generation to generation. We don't need to write a dissertation about that. That's clear.
Evident.
Um, but in letting it go, in laying it, in willing to lay it down, and I don't mean being like just like being careless and throwing caution to the wind and like asking for it. I don't mean that. That's
Hmm.
one extreme. It's to just be like to lay it down and say, well, every person dies. We're all going to die at some point, and if this is how I have to go, I have to go. So I'm not going to put my mind and my energy and my heart and my time and effort into worrying about it.
Yes. We then empower. That's how manifestation works. What we focus on expands.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
exactly, exactly,
that's
exactly.
step number one. It's an internal shift.
And individual. And
Individual.
then, God willing, like you working with, like through Chabad, you're working with Jewish groups. Like then the group energy, oh my gosh, that's the next step. Because once the individual is clear, then you can be a lighthouse to others. You can help hold that field
Yeah.
and sit in space with people that are struggling and just explain these things and help them see how their fear is not serving. It's not serving them. It's not serving their loved ones. It's not serving God. It's just like dark energy. Sure, we understand where it comes from. Like I understand, I have compassion for the fear that I carry and that you might carry and that our Jewish people carry. And then but to learn to transcend it, to make the, because let's say you really worry about like your interior design of your house, right? You watch podcasts about it, you read books, you spend money, you spend time, and you make your interior design beautiful. So that's what we have to make our interior design
Hmm.
aligned with fearless trust,
Hmm.
faith in God. Oh my
Hmm.
gosh, isn't that when Amalek attacks
That's
in
that's when
Rephidim?
that's when
In
they double down when you reconnect with that more strongly.
well, what I'm saying is that the Amalek attack because the Jews are doubting God.
I see. It opens a vulnerability.
It opens a vulnerability. It basically doubles down on the fear that
Yes.
people are against us.
Okay.
So
Yeah. So I'm gonna.
it's switching the focus from the world is against us. Okay,
Yeah.
how's that working out for us Jews? How's that working out? Not so
Hmm.
great. To all right, okay, if that happens, it happens, right? We've been there, done that. We can handle it. We're going to
Yeah.
continue to survive. We've managed to survive against all costs. It sucks, but I don't
Mhm.
have to worry about it. Here's the focus now.
And what about moving even more into our mission and purpose, which I mean you expressed so beautifully in your documentary, which is we the Jews are here are said to bring light to the planet, right? Could you
Yeah,
share and the whole concept of Tikkun Olam,
yeah, exactly.
which is
Exactly.
what's the translation of Tikkun Olam?
Healing the world.
So
Healing the world.
if we weren't just going into survive, like we're going to survive and persist, but we really went into
Yeah, like the world is our project.
being proactive. Yeah.
Yeah, I can feel in the space some resistance to that because there's like a lot of suspiciousness towards Jews, and I'm
Yeah.
sure lots of people would construe it as yet another like finagling, like Jewish finagling of like trying to like do something tricky, but that would just be some people. Eventually that would resolve. That energy will resolve. So don't worry that as about that as a stumbling block. But basically like Joseph is the blueprint of the Jewish people. And so
Mhm.
what does he do in a time of scarcity? Scarcity has two words like scare, right? It's time of fear also, right? It's a time of fear for the planet. It's a time of lack. Rabbi Nachman Meoman, like Nachman, like the graffiti all over Israel. He's one of the greatest rabbis that's ever lived. He said that this age now, there would be a horrible epidemic of atheism.
Mm.
So people have been so drawn into the aromatic impulse through technology and media, and making it a dirty word to talk about God in school and in science and all that stuff. So there's such this epidemic of atheism that um, is the scarcity, because there's like God is central to everything. Like
Hmm.
God is, it is what is. There's nothing else that matters on this planet. It is
Hmm.
the only thing that matters. Ironically, it's not physical matter,
Yeah.
but in the physical also there is reflection of that too. So it's all that matters. So really, exactly what you said. I love what you said, by focusing our mission, because like we also talked about how Jews turned the desert into a thriving oasis, right?
Hmm.
And then that's why there was like now there's like envy around the land. There was no envy around the land when it was a flea infested
Yes.
land, what Mark Twain described it as, and lots of others that visited the land. It wasn't an enviable place, but we turned it into that.
Hmm.
So we
Yeah.
could take our minds and our hearts and our love and devote ourselves to helping outreach projects. Like Israel does do that to a certain degree, and Jews have done that in their own way, along with all other people who are aligned with love and the Christ. But we can make it a purpose of our people.
Mm.
And then as we do, so will it be amongst other people. Then it will become a very easy invitation for others to follow. So it won't be all on Jews carrying that burden of like the planet's our responsibility. It'll become everybody's responsibility, because as we do, being a microcosm of the earth, what Israel manifests will take place, will take hold in the rest of the planet.
Mhm.
I feel very strongly about that.
Okay. But the first step is with each individual Jewish person to
Yeah,
make this shift within their own hearts and
yeah, to
consciousness.
make exactly. And in particular, like we could look at the hairpin trigger, very sensitive knee jerk relationship between Jewish people in Israel and Muslims in the Middle East, and perhaps in the rest of the world, like with the whole pro-Palestinian movement. We have to not. It's very easy to get involved in the
Hmm.
animosity, hatred.
Conflict.
That's another shift that we have to really be very strong about inside. Like, even if we experience hate, we say, look, okay, I understand why you hate us, but we want to turn another page here. Look, I don't know you. You hate me because I'm a Jew, but you don't even know me. I don't even know you, but let's take a new step forward. Let's have some hummus and shawarma, like the unless they're vegetarian, but whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
And we're all from the same root. We are all connected and
we're
related.
all from the same root, all from the same root. And I think this is one of those things that's going to make me cry talking about it. But I think what would be really nice is for Jews to get down on one knee and ask for forgiveness, um, for the rift that Abraham and Sarah started.
Mm.
That's what part three is all about, right? Like,
Yeah.
this is the rift, this is the wound that. Okay, so it says in Torah, and I want to talk to you about this, because it says in Torah that God sanctioned this move, and consoled Abraham and said, it's okay, do what your wife says. Isaac is gonna inherit
Mhm.
your kingdom, and Ishmael will not. So Ishmael was thrown out of the tent, Isaac remained, and that has never really been addressed by our people.
Yeah. All of these core wounds have to be healed and addressed for us to move forward. And again, that's a big ask, right? Because there is a lot of fear response, there's a lot of heart shutdown, there's a lot of animosity.
Yeah.
But I think for us to purify all of this level of complexity of this conflict, we have to be willing to examine all of these roots on both sides, really.
Yeah,
Uh,
sure. Like, but we can take responsibility for our side
yes.
and leave our, the cousins. Like, I know that's an expression for Arab Muslims, The cousins, it's more like brothers. It's a little closer than cousins, but
Yeah.
fine. Well, we can call them cousins, whatever. Leave their karma to them and trust.
Mhm.
You know, the Sufism is like Kabbalah has a beautiful, rich tradition. The Arab people, Muslim people have a rich tradition in alchemy and mystical sciences, and there's a very strong blood connection there.
Yeah.
Rudolf Steiner also emphasizes that both Islam and Judaism are lunar religions.
Hmm.
Judaism is lunar, like Yahweh is an emanation. I know Steiner speaks in weird, like alchemical terms, like astrological terms. Yahweh, Jehovah, is an emanation from the moon, a god, like a reflection of the Christ through the moon. Christ is the sun, and Yahweh is the moon. It's the manifest. It's the manifest. The earth, the moon helps to condense and manifest into matter, and the sun disperses into the spirit.
Hmm.
So, so it's about the balance of the sun and the moon creates the Christ energy.
Mm. Okay.
Okay, so we're both lunar based. It's very interesting. We're so close. You know,
Yeah.
I've had experiences of bonding with Muslims, and there's such a love there when there's the bond, when both parties are able to put this aside. It's like, hi, there you are. It's like it's a very beautiful thing, and this is really what we have to start looking to, because there are like I think there is a significant amount of extremism in amongst Muslims, sure, but there's so many good-hearted, rich-souled people there. And of course, in Judaism, there is some extremism there. The numbers are very teeny compared, but still there is amongst our people we have extremism, and in each of us we have extremism.
Yeah. Yes. Every group or population is going to have the good and the bad and the light and the dark, right? And
Yeah, and in every individual we all carry
yes.
the whole within us. And so to like be condemning and pointing fingers is not very wise to do. It's
Yeah.
just going to keep the same cycle going.
Yeah, and we're on a higher level kind of perspective of it all. I part of what I do is quantum energy healing, and I really do believe we're going through a massive shift in consciousness on the planet, and everything
Yes,
that's in discordance or disharmony or distortion is coming up for purification in each individual person as well as in the
everything.
collective. And these are the deepest, darkest distortions right now that we haven't been able to figure out. Like these are the things that we haven't decisions we haven't wanted to make or just haven't known how to problem solve, and that this the Middle East conflict is, I think, one of the big ones on the planet of one on the planet up for
Yeah,
purification. And often we don't, like I said, we don't know the answers or the solutions to these problems, and that's why these conflicts have been so deeply entrenched. But I think, going off of what you were sharing with me, what's marinating within me right now is having the intention just of moving forward in a place of peace, even though we don't know this necessarily the action steps, just creating that opening for this is a possibility and this is my desire.
exactly, exactly. That's a shift away from the dark energies of fear and hatred, and condemning the cousins for their actions, which confirms that they're lesser than us, and therefore we are better. And it just creates division and separation, which was in the cards. The reason why Yahweh manifested through Torah this covenant of separation was so that the Jewish people would be very strongly individualized,
Mm,
to root the individuality into consciousness, because the other peoples from the different epochs, Indian, Egyptian, Persian, they were floating in a collective consciousness and didn't root the individual self.
mm,
The individual self was missing. So, and that was what was required to create this mirrored effect of through the individual God is experienced.
mhm. And when
That
you
was,
okay, sorry. What do you
you
mean
know,
by rooting in the individual self? Is that like tuning into one's own moral compass? Like, what is that? What do you?
having a clear sense of self. This is me. I stand as an individual. I can make a choice outside of the group I can do what I want versus what the group wants, an individual self, a
Hmm.
sense of individual I,
Gotcha.
uh, which is a reflection of what the series starts at, that God was all and there was nothing except God. So there was no way for God to have the experience of itself through a kind of kinesthetic feeling of the greatness and the glory of what God is, of what love is.
Hmm.
So the Jewish people had a beautiful mission to create the individuality that could root God in the individual so that could be a reflection back to God to create that experience that we were missing or
Hmm.
that God was missing. I say we, but it's the isness of God was missing. So
Yes.
we have yet to graduate. We've yet to graduate and for the earth to evolve into that collective where
Hmm.
we stand experiencing God through the self
Hmm.
and as a one.
And would you call that unity consciousness or Christ consciousness or
That's
five?
Christ. That's Christ consciousness. That's being a many and a one.
Hmm.
A
Yeah.
monad individual, but yet not individual. Because being an individual is an illusion. It's not a real reality. There's no such thing as being an individual, really. But creating that enough so that there is an actual belief in it, enough that you can root into the self
Hmm.
this experience of God and saying, I am experiencing God. This creates a ripple effect through through reality, where that what I think it's beyond words. What the only planet of choice, the Council of Nine, the Elohim, referred to as a very tall order.
Yeah.
It's like light, overwhelming light, like whoa, and love, and all that stuff. So yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
What a crazy game.
It's an amazing game. It's such a beautiful game. I'm so grateful that you reached out that we could make this connection.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you
Um,
for having these conversations. These are not easy conversations, and there's not always easy, straightforward answers. So I really appreciate having the opportunity to speak more about this with you. And I
yeah,
really
my pleasure.
appreciate your series that you just put out. That was very eye-opening. I highly recommend everyone check that out on YouTube. And what was the website?
Uh, well, the title is Israel's Unfinished Covenant. Hopefully that comes up because I know that certain things are throttling this because they like to hype up the discord and the dissonance and the division between people, this side against that side. They like that, so you become very popular if you really speak
Yeah.
strongly for one side.
Yes.
But those things which speak for both sides and for the unity, like that's not going to be that popular. So through grassroots, we could spread this. So it's basically Israel's Unfinished Covenant, and I could put the link in with your permission. I'll put this up on YouTube and stuff. Thank you so much,
Yeah, it
and
was
I love
I
it. And
definitely recommend checking it out. It's really I feel like a very balanced kind of looking at things from all sides, all perspectives, and that's yeah, wonderful.
thank you so much. I put my heart and soul into it because I feel a lot of sadness around the division and stuff. Like it doesn't have to be this way.
Yeah.
It's not the true reality that any of us are meant to experience on earth.
I think we're ready to just surpass war consciousness and division altogether. I think
Yeah.
that's where we're at and that's what's up for us. So yeah,
Amazing. Amazing.
thank
Well,
you so
God
much.
bless you so much, Alicia. Thank you so much. And if you feel like it, and there's any other angles on it, you want to get together and do this again, I'd be happy to.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, just God bless. God bless. And I like to say, peace be with you. Shalom aleichem. Salam alaikum. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So that's good. We can end this right now. Let me see. How do I do that?